Hello, friends. My name is Akshat Sinha, and today I have the opportunity to be at the studio of my dear friend and artist, Ranjan Kaul. Thank you, Ranjan ji.
Hello.
Thank you
Hi,
for.
hi. Thank you, Akshat, for coming here and taking because you are the other end of Delhi. So thank you.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it wasn't raining, so I hope you didn't have difficulty finding the place.
No, Delhi is a large city, but coming from South Delhi to West Delhi, especially to meet you and to look at your works in the studio, I think I would have done it any day, rain or showers or whatever.
Thanks.
So, without much ado, why don't we start? Ranjan ji, so you are not you did not study art per se, right? You did not go to a specific college. What did you do before?
I mean, I did try to attend an art college. I mean, when I was actually I didn't start painting till I was about 26, 27. In college, as you know, I was, studied IIT and then I went on to do design because I wanted to move into this line. And but right through my college days, I was more interested in theatre, and I was directing plays. I was also involved with set design and lighting. So there was a visual aspect to my experience in theatre. But and yes, during student elections times, all of us get down to doing posters.
Right.
But that apart, I did not formally. But during my design course in IIT Bombay, the Industrial Design Center, for 1.5 years we used to get. Of course, it was more commercial art, but we had 1 or 2 hour sessions. So that was my initiation about at least learning to hold the pencil and drawing a little more formally.
Right.
Although I used to draw even right through school, but never any formal training. When I came back and I started working, I still wanted to do theatre. In fact, I did audition and got a small role. But then I found that after work, working with people, theatre, waiting for rehearsal was taking too much time. And I took a decision that whatever I do, I wanted to do creative things. I'll just be with myself.
Right.
So it was either, and at that time I was not sure what path my life was going to take. I knew I was doing a job, and I chose publishing because it was not against my grain. I knew I didn't want to be an engineer.
Right.
But I also knew that publishing is not something which is going to kind of give me sustenance. So I needed to be doing something else. And so I tried theatre, then I said, okay. So I then, at some point of time when I said, I'm only going to be with myself.
Right.
That I said, I'm going to either write or I'm going to paint. I did attend a formal course for a couple of months, but at that age, I was not able to relate to the teaching for some reason.
So this is a period when you were already working.
I was already working, so I used to go for evening classes.
Right.
But I was not able to relate to the method of teaching. So there was another friend who I got to know, and I wanted to do figurative art, and nobody was there to actually teach that. And I wanted to have models, and they were not willing to provide that kind of study. Then there was an artist who used to work with my mother in cottage industries,
Right.
Sushant Das. So he said, well, you want models, come with me. And he took me to the railway station.
Right.
And so quite a number of times we used to just go to the railway station and sketch figures. So some of the paintings I've done initially have been based on some of the sketches I've done those days during my stint. And then even later, we used to get a lunch break. That time, the pressures were not so much. We used to get nearly a 1 hour lunch break. When my first office was in Asafiri Road, there was a park right in front. So I used to go sit there during lunch hour, and I used to carry a sketchbook.
Right.
And my boss that time, I mean, she was very encouraging. So even if I, got lost and I came a little late, she didn't seem to mind. So as long as I was completing the assignment I had for that week. So I kind of learned. So I was initially drawing, and then slowly I started. And now, fortunately, nowadays there is a fair amount, and you can pick up. So I got some books on painting, and you just learn it by practice, I think. So
So that's a wonderful thing. But I have obviously looked at your works. I've already, I exhibited your works in one of my festivals.
Yes, thank you so
And
much.
no, it was definitely a pleasure. And so what I wanted to share here was what you were talking about, that you were going to the railway station or to the park and doing this, sketching and painting from what you were picking up from there. You became a kind of a chronicler, of situations and people in
right.
their own spaces, because
That's right.
a lot of your works, so if I were to just show this, I think this work is from 2017.
Yeah.
And this is obviously a very common scene that you would see on the roadside in the evenings, when you would have people, people who are probably migrant laborers who are now settling in to cook their own food. But this is some treatment which then has evolved further. Would you like to say something about this work?
So I call this supper. Actually, when I saw this, it was a very fleeting glimpse.
Right.
And it was kind of evening, and it would have been probably 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock when I saw these group of men
Right.
sitting there cooking. And that's why, this play of light is kind of headlights moving around.
Right,
That is what
right.
I have now like. And then I tried to recreate, of course, what these men looked like. It was just an impression I had gathered.
Right.
So I imagined that kind of situation of 3 people cooking in the evening. Now, some people have asked me, you use bright blues and colors. But one was because the headlights and,
Right.
headlight streaming. The other is that I have used bright colors, whether it's rickshaw pullers, because one, internally I like bright colors. Two is, I think we need to pay attention to some of these people.
Right.
And I think if even through our art, we kind of just forget about them and paint them in very dark, dismal colors, then, how are we going to, here I'm forcing the viewer to actually look at the situation. So,
So they might be marginalized, but you do not want them to be so in your paintings.
yeah, so I want them to come alive.
Center stage.
So I'm trying to force people to now. You come in now. You better look at them now. So it's not sympathy. It's more, I would say, empathy.
Right.
With their lives. I have tried landscapes, something like that, but for some reason, I have not been able to come to a very abstract representation of that on my own when I've experimented. The other thing is, I find nature too beautiful to actually try and compete with nature. So, there is a lot of empathy and humanism within me to stick to doing human figures.
Right. So there is this, you kind of try to capture those fleeting memories that, those things that impact you, the visuals that impact you. And I think it kind of reflects in this work also.
So this is also, just walking down. In fact, this is not Delhi. This is one of the slums in Bombay. And of course, and I had done this, and I have kind of revisited and put a mask on now.
Yeah.
Because I thought in these times, and it was kind of visually appealing to me.
And you've used the knife here quite impressively.
Yes, I use in both these. I've done a fair amount of texture. One, of course, is that I wanted to reflect their fragmented, broken lives. So this kind of slightly cracked effect, I, in my mind, thought would kind of convey that kind of feeling.
While in the case of the woman, it's more sepia tone, which kind of gives the old world kind of a charm.
So I was trying that because it was dark that time. Of course, in both these, I've done a little kind of paneling like that.
Right.
But that was more for aesthetic reasons.
Right. And I think this is again one of your old works.
No, this is more recent.
Okay.
This was done
2019.
Yeah, because this was a reaction to some of the lynchings which is going. So I occasionally do some socio-political work.
Right.
So this was a reaction to lynchings which was happening.
Right.
And very often, why the cow? Because it's done in the name of the cow.
Yeah.
So my idea is even the cow, if she knew, she would also be in anguish.
Yeah.
To see that people are lynching in her name.
Yeah.
You know, so we all respect the cow in India. Think of the cow herself. Would she be happy? You know,
Yeah, if in her name people are dying.
People are dying or being killed.
How about this work on the right hand side on the top where we see a scuffle happening?
Well, I'll come to that, but okay. But in terms of social political,
Yeah, maybe yes.
So this is again, you know, a reaction to some of the moral policing which is happening about, especially inter-community
Right.
romances and love, and how. So it's a kind of a disruptive kind of thing, and now you can take it positively that in spite of that they're still coming together.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll never. So
They are being pulled apart, sort of.
Yeah, these kind of bands are kind of, and you know, the symbol of the cacti and some of the mosque or what I meant the temple. But this is like the moral police looking.
Yeah. There's always somebody looking.
there's
But then I
somebody
think
looking.
that's a very interesting thing that you talk about, which is how the viewer has the option to choose what they see from this.
That's
they
right.
can just choose to see the futility of, you know, going into, you know, such a relationship even, and at the same time another person could see how love will prevail despite
Yeah,
all
so,
odds.
we hope love will prevail, but,
Yeah.
but you know, the whole problem is who's responsible. I think
Yeah.
we all have to own up that responsibility and create that environment
Absolutely.
for love to happen. So yeah, so we can go back to.
Yeah.
So this was during the COVID times. Now this is a completely imagined kind of thing, because we were locked out and I had access to the studio, of course. And then you saw these kind of scuffles happening,
Right.
and we're all locked up. And so what I have here is a kind of a ringside view. So what has become is like a tamasha, because we are now starved of entertainment, and you're locked up inside.
Right.
So you have these people from the windows and everyone.
Right.
Nobody's trying to stop them. You know,
It's entertainment.
Yeah, this is a minor skirmish which has happened.
Right.
So the two cars have collided. It's not a major crash, but the reactions are that they have turned very violent.
Right.
And people are just watching the tamasha, you know. So that
having
was-
the ringside view of the things.
having a ringside. So that was what is in our mind. But this is a completely imagined kind of situation.
So
So that's where I differ from some of these, which were like based on my observations and walking down the
Yeah,
streets. But these were some of these series, this one and.
So they are prompted more by readings and
so you know, you hear about these,
Yeah,
and you say, oh, yeah, certainly, and then I got an idea that we're looking for entertainment, so
Right,
this was the
right.
concept.
So I was just wondering, so I mean you spoke about how because of the COVID it restricted you from actually going out researching. I'm sure that it also kind of restricted you from, you know, painting a lot, because there might have been periods when you could not have been coming to your studio also. And how were you doing that? I mean, were you still doing art? Yeah.
First 6 weeks, this studio space, there was a case just opposite, in the opposite block.
Okay.
And the police had kind of cordoned off.
Okay. So it was a containment
so 6
zone.
weeks. So at home, I just had charcoal and things like that.
Right.
And I had my iPad.
Right.
I used to do Procreate. You know, there's a software. Okay, I'll
Maybe
show
you will
Yeah,
get
yes. Yeah. So I have this. So some rough drawings and concept, I use the iPad.
Right.
But then since I had nowhere else to do.
Right.
So I created this kind of thing. This is the only digital work really I did of animals celebrating, and this is of course the
Pangolin.
the pangolin and the other birds, while the couple is actually enclosed inside.
Yeah. They are contained while the animals are having a gala time.
That's right. So they are having a cocktail party, and why not? You know, and I think what has happened is that we as human beings have taken over the animal spaces. And
Right.
this was a kind of time the animals actually could roam free.
Right.
And we did actually see on the streets, and there were pictures of, you know, wild animals
crossing
roads.
road.
Well, I think stray dogs had a tough time because they were not being fed.
But they used to sleep right in the middle of the road because there was
Yeah.
no traffic.
Yes. So they got that kind of freedom, which otherwise we have been encroaching on the animals. So
Right.
that was behind.
Can you show us some of the other?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, so it's like these are kind of rough concepts then which translate into. So these are some.
So when did you first start using Procreate on iPad?
About 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago, but I'm
So
still I'm not very technologically savvy.
But you were kind of pushed into it
yeah,
because of the
I was
COVID
pushed. So somebody suggested why did you try it? In fact, the friend of my son who's a designer. So what I do is I do some rough drawings, some concept building.
Right.
But sometimes I have not really.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, does it translate into, I mean, do they
tried
remain
that,
studies or?
and in more times than it doesn't work because
Okay.
what looks good on this space,
Right.
when you go to a large canvas, it completely transforms.
Yeah.
And then I say, hey, what's wrong? It was looking fine, and now you see a lot of empty spaces, and you don't know what to do with it because you started with that kind of concept, you know.
Yeah.
So then I said, no, I must start. Yes, I have some idea in mind when I start the canvas. So I do, but very often the figures they take a shape of their own. Sometimes I overpaint, and that's why I've taken to doing oil painting. Because acrylic, I find that after a certain point of time, you
Yeah.
cannot overpaint, you know, because it kind of forms a thickish layer.
Right.
And it becomes a little muddy. But with oils, you know, you can
can keep building it
Yeah,
up.
yeah. It takes time for the layer to dry, and that's why some of the later ones, you know, I'm doing a series which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
So where I've been working on 4-5 works
At the same time, simultaneously.
At the same time.
So Ranjan, I think before we go on to that new series that you're doing, maybe if you could talk to us about the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah, so I don't call it Frankenstein, I just call it the 21C monster.
Okay.
Because I'm relating it to contemporary times.
Right.
But it just happened when I was in Naldera, there was this Frankenstein book lying there.
Right.
And my son actually had used it for his graduation in literature. And I read through that book, and then I found many parallels with contemporary society.
Right.
And our contemporary environment, and of course I've added on here. And so in my mind, this is Frankenstein. The bones are because he built the monster because of
With
that. Now the elements I've added are of course the digital social media and what
I think that's what powers the monster here.
Yes, exactly. So that's why it's got a kind of artificial intelligence.
Right.
And these are all kind of things which are, and what I'm saying is, a lot of, so there's a snake, so there's a lot of venom and hate where this monster, so ultimately he wanted to create, he didn't want to create a monster.
He just wanted to
So what I'm
recreate
trying to
life.
say is, we are creating a monstrous society, and
Right.
even the original novel, it was really a reflection of contemporary society at that time when Mary Shelley wrote it.
There are
So
many
I'm-
things happening here. I mean, so I see the vultures in the top there.
Yeah, so the vultures on the top.
I think
there is
there's
this,
racial discrimination there.
Yeah, well, also throwing,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a more universal theme. You have U.S.
Discrimination.
Discrimination also being kicking out across borders, you know.
Yeah.
So I've used the barbed wire, barbed fencing like that. And you know, in India also we had this kind of CA, NRC kind of situation.
Right.
So and we see this. All nations are trying to, you know, and even regions. We are seeing interstate problems.
Skirmishes happening.
in Assam and Mizoram
Yeah.
more recently. And of course, I'm talking about climate change. So there's forest fires, there's flooding, that dead fish, that woman. I mean, this is a kind of a how I see what society's come to be.
Yeah.
So
I
women
can
are,
see the high rise there, which in front has women sitting in front of it, like the migrant or the workers,
migrant, but also,
domestic
yeah, but I
help.
also had this, like women being raped, and like in the original novel, Frankenstein's wife gets killed by the monster.
Yeah.
So I had that in mind. So you are raped and then you're killed, and of course this is a lecherous man, and women, are
Being
not finding
subjected
it safe,
to it, yeah.
and not finding it safe. So, and of course I've used some.
There are a lot of
symbols.
metaphors within this, and there's a lot happening in this work.
So I didn't start with everything.
Yeah.
I just kept on. I had these two characters. So my initial drawing was just these two.
Right.
And then I kept on building spaces. So this was much later. I have these migrants because that time the COVID migrant happened.
Yeah.
So and we've had this migration happening in Europe as well.
Yeah.
And some of that is what you see bombing. Aerial bombing, behind
the Gaza Strip, or
yeah, exactly.
it could be anything. I mean, the Afghanistan for that matter these
Afghanistan nowadays,
days.
or
The Syria
bombing,
before that. Yeah.
So I just kept on adding, and then, you can go on adding if there is more space.
Yeah.
So this is, you want to carry on?
No, I think I would love to know about the work in front of us, where people seem to be trying to have a good time with masks and with
this was again a very kind of an imagined kind of situation. I was still following lockdown norms, but I knew that people were. So I kind of imagined what would it be like nowadays to have, when this was before the first wave, before actually
the second wave
happened.
Okay.
And people are opening out, and people were still. Of course, you have the waiter who's fully masked, but inside, yes, you're kind of still using the sanitizer at the beginning.
Right.
But there was another concept I had in mind, was if you zoom in, if you can.
I see someone there.
Yes, there is somebody looking in. Now, who this is person is for you to interpret. It's a big brother watching. Are they watching whether they're wearing the mask, or they're watching something deeper as to what a lot of snooping happening? That is very, very open to interpretation. But I was trying to create this kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, it could so easily be the extension of the law, which kind of keeps tab on people, or it could be people taking photographs and suggesting, like you were talking about the civic society, kind of trying to keep everybody in check, and supporting the fascist, rules as well.
So when you started off and saying, I've been like a chronicler.
Right.
So yes, so this is also chronicling some of these
situations.
COVID situations. Now these are imagined situations, yes, but I do not know if they actually happened. But it was in my mind that something like that could be happening.
I think they could be juxtapositions of multiple things happening in different spaces, but you have been able to kind of bring them together into a single canvas.
Yeah, maybe. So then related to that is another imagined kind of situation. Again, COVID time, where a woman is coming back alone, because lockdown. This was the issue. Everything was very, very quiet.
Right.
And but there were cases of safety of women,
right,
and women coming home, and so you have these lumpen elements on the streets.
Right.
And of course, I have this dog. He's not yelling at her. I sometimes like to put in these devices. He's howling.
Yeah.
Now
it could be empathy, or
it could be empathy, or he's just
pained
because of the situation, or in pain. But certainly, I didn't want to give the impression that she's afraid not of the dog, but she's
of the
afraid
people.
Of these people, and that's why she's kind of clinging to the wall to the extent possible.
Yeah. It's very interesting, especially in this work. I see a lot of, so it reminds me of Van Gogh's use of colors. I mean, you definitely have a different palette, I mean,
Yeah, well,
but
I mean,
it kind of also grows, especially the one where he has done his own room
that's right.
with the bed and everything. But
yes,
the way it kind of brings you in, because there's
so one of course
Yeah.
is large patches of things. The other is in many of Van Gogh's painting.
There's a
there is kind of
perspective.
depth.
Yeah.
You go inside. So if you were to actually zoom in, so I also try to give this feeling of going inside the lane, so to
Yeah.
speak, and it kind of recedes in the background.
right. So it kind of pulls the viewer inside.
But of course.
There's a foreground where you
Of course,
see the
of
object
course,
happening.
the effect of light coming from here would be similar to Van Gogh's that cafe scene,
Right.
The play of light. So maybe that is why you get that feeling.
True,
Of
true.
course, the situation is completely different, and
Right.
I think I have seen a lot of art.
Right.
It's permeated in the subconscious. I don't consciously try to.
I agree,
paint
I
it.
agree.
And I get bored very easily. So some people have said that you don't stick to a style. But my counter question is Picasso didn't stick to a style.
Yeah.
He started with very realistic works and he did cubism and he moved on. And like Braque stuck to cubism and he moved on further.
Right,
So
right.
I'm not saying I'm Picasso, but
Right.
I'm saying.
Why
I don't-
judge? Just because Picasso was famous and I'm still yet to break
no,
the
not
barrier.
that. What I want to think is, so I'm not consciously trying to develop a style.
Okay.
Yeah, some people say in spite of that, there is a style.
Which I think it will always be
yeah.
there. So I mean, we've just
so
gone
as
through
long
some
as
of your work.
My scene is, as long as I'm being honest to myself,
Right.
something or the other will emerge. But
Right.
I'm not trying to consciously cultivate a style.
Right.
So
right.
this actually I did before this, and in fact, this and the Big Brother, this Big Brother followed this.
Right.
And this was just an experience. I was sitting. I have a problem. I need to. I have ingrown toenails.
Oh.
So I need to go to a salon, and this was a salon close by where they have a pedicure. Normally, a haircutting salon
Will not have.
They
Yeah.
don't have. And this is like a recreate. Not exactly what happened, but I did.
It
see,
seems like your perspective, as if you've kind of.
Well, I
It's
don't
your
do
point of view.
I don't do
POV.
self-portraits because I don't think I'm very, photogenic, or I don't love myself, at least my
Right.
face. But
You got your legs in.
But my legs certainly are in there. So to that extent, so it's a view from here,
Right.
actually. But I did see this guy, who was getting this kind of facial. And now the concept behind me is, we had recently this clubhouse discussion about
Right.
real and virtual.
Right.
Now, here the virtual, which is going to be, have actually become the real persona.
Right.
So the reflection is actually sharper
Right.
than the original, and that kind of is in a kind of shadowy green.
Right.
So that was the concept behind
So
it.
the real has become the virtual.
Has become the virtual.
Yeah.
Because
Following
that
it.
That is what you are trying to show, and at one point of time, when that transition takes place, when the virtual takes over you or your personality,
Right.
and because that's how you want to present. I'm not getting into whether it's right or wrong, but this was the idea behind it.
Right. Right. And this work, I think this is also COVID related.
Yeah, this
work.
is. Well, I did not fortunately get it. My wife got COVID, and then she was locked up. And
We'll add unfortunately to that before you have her coming at you.
oh, sorry.
Yeah. So she unfortunately got it.
She unfortunately got it, and then when it was opened up, now I've got a person sitting there. But what was an idea? So I called this Happy Quarantine Independence Day. It was a kind of a sense of freedom.
Welcome, yeah.
A kind of welcome. So and even the dog is kind of gone in
Yeah.
to be with the master.
Right.
And now some food is being given. And yes, the person who's giving could be his wife or somebody else in the house.
Right.
She's still masked, but he's kind of
The doors opened.
the door's open and he doesn't realize that she's coming in. So he's reached out to the mask to cover it.
Yeah.
will cover his face.
Right.
And well, that was the idea behind it.
No, I think it's a very sweet moment that you've captured. Yeah.
So,
The relief that people would have, once
yeah.
they can, engage with the person they love who's been in quarantine or isolation.
that's right.
Why?
You want to talk about this?
Yeah, I think so. This is from the new series, so I just want to kind of briefly just
Yeah.
go through and kind of show, because I can see these.
Well, this is not so much that, but because
No, I think the
Yeah,
stylization.
the
I have
stylization.
not. Yeah.
So I started with this,
Okay.
which broke into that.
Okay, so let's start with this.
This is a story of Yaqub and Amrit, two migrants
Right.
who were, going back to the village because of COVID. And then Amrit was unwell. And then he was asked to, they were traveling in a truck, they were asked to step down. And Yaqub decided to stay back with them. And he sat cradling him in his arms and sprinkling water and giving him water till some kind of help arrived. I thought of it as also because there's been so much divisiveness in our society that this so I call it the legend of. So these are the kind of heroic stories we should be talking about. These are our heroes, and they're kind of unsung.
Yeah.
So Yaqub, Amrit unfortunately died in hospital because he couldn't be saved.
Right.
I have no clue where
What happened to Yaqub?
What happened to Yaqub?
Yeah.
He was taken for an RT-PCR test, and after that,
We do not even know what was the result of
there
it.
was no news. But,
Yeah.
but
No
I think
follow-ups
I wanted
on
to
that.
capture that time and moment. So you was talking
Well,
about chronicling.
yeah,
So this is again that kind of chronicling.
Right. So you said that this was kind of the starting
Yes.
point.
So here again, the effect is a little
Muted. It's muted.
Muted, and also I've separated out the figures. Actually, it starts from here where I separate where I separate out the colors.
Right.
And this is where I start doing it. Yeah.
The fragmentation
the
seems to be happening.
fragmentation, because I don't know what I had in mind. I really was not thinking, but this is what appealed to me then.
Right.
And this led so I was doing this imagined reality, and then I said, what is happening in society? Society is getting the effect of pandemic is there's a lot of disruption and fragmentation happening.
Right.
And we're talking about individuals now. So individuals, they're facing mental trauma. Their lives are getting disrupted and fragmented in various ways. And so I said, my art also has
to reflect.
It was kind of, it came, it just happened. So I said, we talk about, in art, we talk about the importance of line and form and drawing. I said, with disruption, there is nothing definite. So why should there be a definite line? Why should there be a definite form? I mean, when everything is becoming fragmented. So this was what I had in mind. So I have these kind of fragmented, disruptive things as a kind of mental trauma. So as you can see, all
And
this,
these you kind of started at similar times. These are the 5-6
so
canvases.
they're all done in oil.
Okay.
And you don't know where you're starting. And these were done all in the canvas. Nothing starting on the iPad.
Right.
I just had a basic figure in mind.
Right.
And then they just kind of evolved. So sometimes I add on the greens, or sometimes I add on the muted colors, and I keep them all.
So the addition
displayed.
and subtraction keeps happening.
So and in this weather, it takes time for it to dry.
Right.
So for example here. Now this is all work in progress.
Right,
So I don't
right.
know where they'll end up.
Right.
But this was the concept.
So I mean, because you said that this is a kind of a work in progress and you don't really know where it will end up, you also said that you overwork your paintings at times.
Sometimes
So as an
I do.
artist, how do you find
Yes,
that
at some
sweet
point
spot?
of time, I have to pack up.
Okay.
Because sometimes overworking actually spoils the work.
Yeah.
And here, I am trying to put the colors very impulsively.
Right.
I'm
Spontaneous.
not, some of these were made
Planned,
and
yeah.
planned. Here, these are, I'm freeing myself of, so I'm also freeing myself of a tyranny of a of line, form, even conceptualization before it.
Right.
So I'm calling it tyranny because sometimes it overpowers you and it doesn't give you that freedom. You know.
Right.
I don't know if I'm.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I'll just want to kind of highlight here again that in this painting, in the one related to the Frankenstein monster, I mean, you don't call it that, but you have lots of things happening, and they're in the foreground, there's in the background, and there's in the background.
So this is a story I'm trying.
Yeah, but then there is so much happening here, but still there's an equilibrium. And I think that's what I wanted to, kind of know from you, because you also decided that this is where I stop in this.
So, you see, I mean, there are a lot of debates about what is good art and what is bad art. Right. Now, in my view, there should be each artwork, yes, there's conceptual art, certainly where it's just an idea.
Right.
But if we all often compare music to art, I think a work of art, like a painting, there should be a completeness. So there should be a certain level of finish. It's like you're making a composition. Now, you cannot make a musical composition unless it is finished in a certain way. Yes, in music, you will have some jerks, some breaks, but then that is deliberate. So when you're talking about, equilibrium, I think there has to be some kind of a compositional unity to a work.
Yeah.
That is important for me. So when I feel that, yes, this is, that is when I say it's complete. So I find a jarring note which I don't want. Sometimes I want a jarring note, but sometimes I don't want it. Like here, I wanted the jarring note of the drops, particularly say here, it is jarring. But I wanted to create that disruptive element.
But it's almost as if from one object it flows onto the person, and the person is also melting and kind of moving from that.
So this, of course, is still work in progress. It's been going on for some time. I started with just the concept, the second wave, and we were very isolated. Now, of course, everything is opened out, and yet this work is still not complete. I started a few elements. In fact, these two, I didn't have actually human figures inside.
Oh.
When I thought I will just show these two contrasting. This is a kind of a it's a kind of a slum kind of situation.
Right.
And this is more middle class, upper class kind of society. I wanted to show that contrast. But then and these were just creation of bubbles. But then when I thought that they just started looking empty, and I started then adding figures. So this is what happens is, and that's what happens when you work on a canvas, like a large canvas. Then you start filling in spaces,
So I think you started becoming the god here. As the creator, you saw empty spaces.
So sometimes what happens, I'll put it the other way now.
Right.
The painting takes over.
Yeah.
You see, it's like, when talking about writing, sometimes the characters take over. Because you have created a character. Well, it's like a monster, it's taken over. so sometimes the painting demands of you that it says, no, I think I need something here.
Right.
So I think that's where it is.
Yeah. And I just want to kind of also look at, because since you use, the flat brushes would be for more for acrylics?
More for acrylic, or sometimes I just don't do oil first.
Okay.
I do, first I don't like to work on a white ground. So I first paint some color, and that I'll just give it a...
Is there a favorite color? Although I see a lot of this blue.
So it depends on what color I have, but I just do it a quick wash there before actually start painting, So that wash is usually an acrylic wash, because that quickly dries. Of course, with turpentine also. But then I want to, when you want to do it, you want it to dry within 15 minutes and start working.
So are you a clean artist or a messy artist?
I am a terrible. I don't know how many times I've had to rework, because although I have, I'm trying to learn. So since you talk about it, so
maybe if we remove this one.
Yeah. So I have this. This is my great thing. So I use this kind of to support myself. What is this? Yeah. So this becomes my resting elbow.
Oh.
So that I don't.
So
mess
that
it
you
up.
don't
Yeah. So I was not
smudge
using
the
this as-
wet.
Yeah, exactly. So here, it helps to kind of. So otherwise, I was messing it up.
Yeah. And no,
So I normally try to work from top to bottom, but sometimes you have to go again and again.
Right. Does it happen that you're working on one canvas and you start spraying on the other canvases around you also, or you are careful that way? Strokes
no,
are
that
small.
I try to here I put up this, but usually the wall behind is.
Always empty.
Yeah, but you,
I mean,
if I were to remove this, you'll see a lot of color splattered on the wall.
I mean, I'm looking at your chair,
Oh.
and the chair itself has a lot of colors on it. I mean, is this from your fingerprints
So
or?
well, it's not just the chair. If you look at my mobile, it's also in a kind of a yeah. So I'm trying to. I've been hearing people about who are very hygienic and things like that. But yes,
I think your iPad also carries some.
Yeah. So I'm a little messy. Yes. So I'm trying to learn, but it's a little too learn
No,
to
no,
change habits.
I think
I lived in a
it's something
hostel for
to enjoy.
7
Yeah.
years with the people who know me in the hostel, and at home, my wife Rekha will not allow any kind of mess. So at least this is my space, so I can mess around.
Right.
But yes, the work shouldn't be messed around. That is, I'm conscious of that.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Akshat, for spending so much time and for making the effort to come all the way. And
Right.
thank you very much.
My pleasure.